Thanks for watching this video, proudly brought to you by AN Immigration Services and Consulting. Please ensure that you watch this video at high resolution for best video quality, as we are going to walk through the application process and the eligibility criteria in applying for a subclass 300 prospective marriage visa. Some applicants call this a fiancé visa. This visa lets you come to Australia to marry your prospective spouse and then apply for a partner visa. The content in this video is for reference only and intended for applicants who want to apply for a subclass 300 prospective marriage visa on or from the 12th of April 2024. Please seek professional advice about the content in this video. Many hours of work have been spent on depicting the complex legislative requirements in full for this visa in a format that visa applicants can follow and understand easily and visually. Please subscribe to our channel, like and share this video. Let us be part of your journey in Australia and support you throughout this journey. Let's start. The red lines in this flow chart are answers no to the question in a decision step. Please commence from start at the top. Answer the question in each decision step. Follow the direction of the arrows to guide yourself through the detailed application process and eligibility criteria. Valid application. There are two steps in applying for this visa. The first step is to submit a valid visa application. If your application is not valid, your application will not be considered even if you satisfy all eligibility criteria. For any visa applications, always check whether there are any visa conditions, act-based or regulation-based restrictions that will stop you from applying for the visa. There may not be such restriction, or the restrictions may not apply to you. However, it is the awareness of any restrictions and waiver that is important. There are very limited circumstances in which you can submit a paper application. If you are authorized to submit a paper application, please ensure that you follow strictly the instructions from the authorizing email sent by the department. You need to lodge an internet application using Form 47SP. The visa application charge is $8,850 as of the 12th of April 2024. There is no second installment of the visa application charge. You must apply for this visa offshore. We call this an offshore application. That is, you need to apply for this visa outside Australia. For the purpose of this video, we will call the person you are going to marry the prospective spouse. The second step is to meet all eligibility criteria. Your eligibility for this visa will be assessed either at the time of application or at the time of decision. Some eligibility criteria are assessed both at the time of application and decision. The following eligibility criteria are assessed at the time of application. You and your prospective spouse must be at least 18 years of age when you apply for this visa. Your prospective spouse will need to sponsor you. Your prospective spouse may be prohibited from sponsoring you if your prospective spouse is a woman granted a subclass 204 refugee visa, woman at risk within 5 years immediately before your visa application, and other specified circumstances also exist. The specified circumstances are: you are the former spouse or former de facto partner of that woman, having been divorced or permanently separated from that woman. Or you are the spouse or de facto partner of that woman and the relationship had not been declared to the department. We are going to walk through the eligibility criteria that are assessed both at the time of application and decision. Your prospective spouse must either be an Australian citizen, an Australian permanent resident, or an eligible New Zealand citizen. You and your prospective spouse must have met in person since each of you turned 18. The onus is on you and your prospective spouse to provide satisfactory evidence that both of you have met in person since turning 18. Please be aware that written correspondence or contact by phone or the internet does not constitute having met in person. Both of you are also required to be known to each other personally. You need to show evidence to the department that both of you are known to each other. For example, evidence of contact that shows the development of the relationship. Whether the relationship is traditionally or culturally appropriate in your circumstances and that of the prospective spouse. Both of you could be requested to attend an interview organized by the department. Your prospective spouse and you must genuinely intend to marry within the visa period. The visa period is usually 9 months, but it is 15 months at the most. You need to provide evidence that arrangements have been made for the marriage ceremony to take place within the visa period after your first entry to Australia. For example, you can provide a signed and dated letter on letterhead from the authorized marriage celebrant who will conduct the ceremony. Under Australian law, persons who wish to marry in Australia must lodge a completed notice of intended marriage form with the celebrant who will be conducting the marriage ceremony. Generally, the notice of intended marriage must be lodged no less than 1 month before the proposed date of the ceremony. It may be provided to the celebrant up to 18 months beforehand. For further details, you can visit the government website from the link provided at the end of this video. It is a requirement that your prospective spouse and you intend to live together as spouses. If both of you have very little knowledge of each other, it raises the question of whether both of you genuinely intend to live together as spouses. The following eligibility criteria are assessed at the time of decision. There shall not be any impediment which will stop you from marrying your prospective spouse according to Australian law. That is, both of you must be free to marry and the intended marriage must be able to be recognized under Australian law as valid. As we said earlier, your prospective spouse must sponsor you. There are situations which may stop the sponsorship from being approved. We will cover these situations in a separate video. The sponsorship must have already been approved and is still in force. Your prospective spouse should have already consented to disclosure of conviction of any relevant offences to each applicant sponsored by him or her. Relevant offences are listed in the table below. Even if your prospective spouse has been convicted of some relevant offences, this information may not be required to be disclosed to you under some circumstances. Example 1. The conviction has been quashed or otherwise nullified. Example 2. Your prospective spouse has been pardoned in relation to the conviction with the result that your prospective spouse is taken never to have been convicted of the offence. As with many other visas, there are various public interest criteria that you must meet, including health and character requirements. With the health requirement, a health waiver is available. If you have been in Australia previously, you need to satisfy the special return criteria. Put it simply, you shall not be subject to any restriction which will stop you from making this visa application for a certain period after your last departure from Australia. The restrictions are imposed on you because of the circumstances under which you last departed from Australia. Accompanying family members included in your visa application also need to meet these public interest criteria and special return criteria. Public interest criteria also apply to any non-accompanying family members. These criteria for the family members to satisfy are called one fails, all fail criteria. This means that if any accompanying or non-accompanying family members do not meet these criteria, your application will be refused. Thanks for walking through the application process and the eligibility criteria with us. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, like and share this video so that we can provide more content to support you.